careful about how he spoke. He was also very clear, and it was clear that we were reaching the end of the line and that he was running out of tools to fight the disease process, and that it's looking like it's time to begin moving towards hospice discussions and preparations for that. He's giving Tim a week of just to think about it and to kind of come off of the chemo and just see what happens with his body. It feels like a good move. He wants to see if it's that he's deteriorating from the chemo or if it's the cancer that's causing the deterioration, but we're pretty sure it's the cancer. He's got lesions forming in his mouth. He had a little bit of a reprieve from those over the past few days. He has just been in need of urgent care twice over the past week. And his light chains have increased. They decreased again just a little bit, but they're overall increasing, and that trajectory is, we'll just have to see what happens over the next week. I just feel the grief. I feel the heaviness of anticipating his death, of anticipating his just transition. I feel myself running towards like the future and the plans and all of the things, anticipating how the girls will respond, anticipating what things might look like for them beyond this time, anticipating kind of being in the middle of all those future decisions. And I can feel my nervous system like ramp up to try to fix it all, take care of it all, rise to the occasion and meet the challenge head on. And then when I come back to like what's real now, it's that we still have time. I don't know how much time, but we still have some time. And I feel mindful that for all of us, like God, the universe, life force, this intelligence that's much bigger than all of us combined is the master of time, is the timekeeper. And I don't really know. Still don't know. After navigating this for, the past year, 20 months around, and we've talked openly about miracles, and I still believe that, like from a different vantage point, is a spontaneous recovery the miracle? For everyone who's transitioned beyond and then had to come back to this realm, it felt like a chore to come back. It felt like a bit of a, like, you didn't graduate, you didn't get to stay there in this whatever, beautiful experience that transcends the experience that we are all kind of bound to here. So is the miracle a spontaneous recovery? Is the miracle that he gets to stay here and, go through the trials and tribulations of what it is to be a human on planet Earth amidst political upheaval, amidst social upheaval, amidst, there's a lot of joys and wonderful things too, but there's a whole lot of highs and lows and just a roller coaster ride no matter what we're trying to navigate as human beings. So is that the miracle, or is the miracle a full surrender to letting the body run its course and surrendering to that transition and that birth into a new form of existence that, you know, is different from this one. Kind of leaning towards that's the greater miracle, that full surrender, that discontinuing, like ceasing to fight. But I also believe there's value in the fight, so I think it's a timing thing, and I think internally, like, there's an intelligence that tells us when it's time to fight and when it's time to lay down our weapons and surrender. And there's absolute wisdom and beauty in both. There's absolute soul growth that happens in both. And I think it's really listening to that divine inner intelligence that is at the core of all of us, that, you know, it's following that. And sometimes it tells us to fight, sometimes it tells us to lay down our weapons, and both are equally good and valid if it's the right time for whichever one we're following. You know, if it's time to fight and we surrender, we'll feel that we gave up, and that will feel like we gave up on ourselves. If it's time to surrender and we keep fighting, we're going to feel absolutely spent and exhausted, fighting a fight that's not ours to fight. So I feel like right now, you know, it's again time for me to stop thinking about the future, to stop worrying about what's to come, and to just enjoy the beauty of this moment right now. Right outside my windows, it's beautiful. It's just like cool and crisp, and the sky is beautiful, and I'm driving home. You know, one of my favorite things to do each day is to drive home and walk in the door and see Tim there making dinner. I'm a sucker for a good dinner, and I'm a sucker for the man in my life making me dinner. I think that Tim's food and his cooking and his love for serving the four of us, and anyone who joins us at our table, is like, it's been the gel, the glue in our relation, our marriage, our family, and it's gotten us through some pretty hard times. And just a simple, mindfully prepared meal, and the joining of with people that you love around a table. It can be a card table, and for us, like, his cooking journey started around a card table in a little rental space that we lived in, with borrowed folding chairs, and no furniture around, but it was a delightful meal that harkened back to, for me, like times when I had lived or spent time in Europe, and I spent time in Italy and had just these meals that were, there's nothing really that compared to it. And when Tim started cooking those kinds of meals during this time of transition for our family, I was just like, whoa, whatever you're doing there, like, you got to keep doing that, because it's really good. And it felt like a sense of home. And I just kept longing to, like, return home to that space with my family. And I felt like super supportive of him taking this culinary journey, because it brought something to us as a unit, and it was a gel that we needed, a glue that we needed, during a time of a lot of change. So, and then I think right now, like, it makes me think of the movie called Don't Look Up. I think it's called Don't Look Up. And it's about this climate change, but it's about a comet that's coming and, like, it's going to destroy the earth. And, you know, everybody, like, there's a chance to avert the worst. And nobody's really listening. And the people who, like, the scientists who can see what's happening and are giving the warnings, you know, they've been fighting it. And at the very end, like, they're just sitting around a table enjoying a meal together. And they're very aware that this is the end. But they decide to celebrate the end just by joining together in a mindful meal. And it's a really beautiful, like, heartbreaking moment, but a beautiful moment. And I grew up in a Catholic family. I served as a Christian minister, a priest, and communion, breaking bread, has always been a beautiful sacrament and ceremony for me. And it feels like it's built around, like, the simplest thing that we all have to show up and eat, to, you know, at some point during the course of our day. And when we show up and we join in a meal together, there's something that's beautiful and simple and sacred about that. And I think in our hurried culture, we've lost touch with that simple act of sacrament and ceremony. And yet it's there for all of us. Like, it's there for us. It's there for me when I go home tonight. It will be there for me even if Tim is no longer here. And if he's not here with us, if he dies and transitions, we will still have that beautiful act of ceremony and celebration that we can join in every single day with one another, and he can be present with us. So I guess what I want to leave you with right now is just like an invitation to think about the people that you love and invite, if you live alone, like, invite someone to dinner, or, you know, invite them to share in just that simple act of celebration with one another, and do it mindfully. Or if you are in a, you know, with a partner or your family, you know, just take time to join in and dine with one another, and, you know, put down your phones and turn away from the TV, and just give each other the gift of that time together. I think if Tim were to leave we've talked about legacy, you know, and, like, what do you leave? What's the thing that you want to leave for others to remember you by? And I think for me, that's, like, one of the biggest things that he will leave us with, is just that simple appreciation for the beauty of a well-cooked meal. And it feels so small, but it's so significant, because even if it's just a crumb of bread that we can share with one another, because that's all we have, we can do that in a mindful and conscious way, and we all can participate in that, no matter what our means are. Even if it's around a folding table with folding chairs and stuff that you bought at a thrift store. So I'm just gonna take some deep breaths. my beautiful drive home and enjoy this meal tonight and talk about what's going on with our girls and just where things are at in the conversation today with the oncologist. And I pray that nobody wants to run away from that conversation and that we can all just be present with each other and, you know, find out what each other's needs are in this next